The Tarnished Cannoneer is a level 150 strength build focusing on using the one-eyed shield to use fire damage and absolutely decimate every single boss in Elden Ring. I'm super excited to bring this build to you guys. It is a ton of fun, and if you can get your timing down with this particular setup, you are going to be having a very smooth sail through Elden Ring with zero problems at all. So with all that being said, let's get right into the build. Now, as stated before, this build is going to focus on the one-eyed shield, which you can get very late in the game in the mountaintops of the giants right here at Guardian's Garrison, located on your map. After you kill the NPC who's wielding the shield, it will be yours, and it's actually a very, very good weapon. Recently, I've been getting used to the idea that shields make really good weapons in Elden Ring. We just dropped a Spiked Palisade shield build, and I'll link that in the description down below if you want to go check that one out. But this will be the second shield build that we have done, and it is an absolutely incredible shield. It's going to scale with strength, and it's going to have a physical damage of 335 plus 262. The strength required is 36 for this, so you definitely need to be running a strength build to have this much strength by the time you get to mid and end game, but it is definitely worth it because the damage you are going to be getting out of it is incredible. Not only that, but you also are going to have a physical damage negation of 100% on this shield, so if you do want to use it in your offhand with something else in your main hand, you are more than able to get that perfect guard off and not take any damage while guarding. This also helps out a lot when you are charging up your Flame Spit Ash of War, because if you get hit, it is still going to take all of that physical damage that would have been done to you and glance it off of the shield, allowing you to get your Flame Spit off, delivering an incredibly powerful payload to bosses and enemies. Now, the strategy you're going to want to use for this shield is you want to line up your shot first, get the first original shot off, which will pretty much knock over any medium or small size enemy if it doesn't one-shot them, and then as they're running close to you, if they do get up, you need to charge it up again and hold it, waiting until they're close enough for you to release the Flame Spit again to then knock them over, and you run backwards and get back in range. If you fire two shots off too quickly, then there's a high possibility your second shot is going to be dodged, leaving you open for an attack, and it gets really messy at that point. Now, for the talismans in this build, you're going to want a few of these talismans that work very well together, especially when you are at range. So the first talisman we're going to be using is the Ritual Sword Talisman, and this is going to raise your attack power when your HP is at maximum. This works very well for the one-eyed shield because the majority of our damage dealing is going to be done at range, allowing us to get a few shots off at maximum health in order for us to get the most damage potential from this weapon. The Ritual Sword Talisman is going to boost that attack power by 10%, allowing our damage to spike as well. For talisman slot number 2, we're using the Great Jar's Arsenal, which is going to vastly increase our equip load by 19%. This is excellent because our shield is very, very heavy, and we're also using a secondary weapon, which we're going to get into in just a little bit when we go over the buffs of the actual build. Our third talisman is going to be the Shard of Alexander. We want that Flame Spit Ash of War to be boosted as much as possible, and the Shard of Alexander is going to boost your attack power of your skills by 15%, thus adding to the damage and stacking with our Ritual Sword Talisman. And for our fourth talisman, we are using the Fire Scorpion Charm. This is going to raise our fire attack but lower our damage negation, and what that means is we are going to do 12% more fire damage, so our Flame Spit is going to hit harder, and we are going to take 10% more damage, but considering our entire build is based around a shield we can block, so that really doesn't matter at all. The Ritual Sword Talisman is going to be found in the Lux Ruins right as you get into Altus Plateau. The Great Jar's Arsenal is going to be located here on the map in Caelid. After defeating all 3 of the Great Jar's warriors, he's going to reward you with this particular talisman. The Shard of Alexander is going to be given to you at the end of Alexander's questline, which I should have done by the end of this week, so I will link that down in the video description below. And the Fire Scorpion Charm is going to be found in Seathwater Terminus on one of the ramparts of Fort Lead. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this far in the video. I do appreciate it. Listen, if you have not subscribed to the channel yet and you're getting value out of what I'm doing here, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell notifications so you guys can know when I'm making more videos. I appreciate it. And if you guys have been here for a while and are looking for a little bit different way to help out the channel, you can head over to the Patreon that we have. I will link it down in the description below. We got a ton of fun stuff happening over there and a lot of really cool videos that are going to be going up over there and not here on YouTube. So with that being said, guys, thank you again so much. And let's get back into the rest of the video. Now, for our Flask of Wondrous Physic, we're going to be using the Flame Shrouding Crack tier and the Green Burst Crystal tier. The reason being is the Flame Shrouding Crack tier is going to exemplify the damage of our Flame Spit Ash of War when it comes to the one-eyed shield. This is going to give us an extra 20% fire damage that will stack on top of the Fire Scorpion Charm, allowing us to have a 32% increase in our fire damage, which is overall going to increase the entire damage of the build. Now, for our secondary tier, the Green Burst Crystal tier, this is going to temporarily boost our stamina recovery. recovery speed. Now, the reason that you're going to need this particular tier is that the Ash of War is going to take a ton of stamina off. Right now, I have 25 endurance, but I can only get maybe 3 shots out before I have no stamina left. So this stamina recovery speed is going to come in clutch when you have no more stamina, yet need to get it back very fast. The Greenburst Crystal tier is going to give us 15 stamina per second for 3 minutes. Both of these tiers will linger way past the typical time it's going to take for you to kill an enemy or boss, so you can have these buffs up for a reasonable amount of time. Both of these tiers are going to be found by killing the exact same Erdtree avatar right here on the map east of the Smoldering Church in Limgrave. Now, before we get into the stats, I do want to talk about the buffs and how to buff up this build to do the most damage possible, especially when opening up on a boss. So the first thing you're going to want to do, which we mentioned previously in the beginning of the video, is use your secondary weapon. Now, we are going to equip the Commander's Standard in our secondary slot, and this is going to have the Rallying Standard Ash of War on it. This buff is going to allow us to get a 20% damage increase, as well as all damage negation is going to get buffed by 20% as well. After you use this buff, you are then going to equip Flame Grant Me Strength, which is then going to give you another 20% damage and 20% fire damage, which is going to stack with our Talismans and Flask as well. After that, you're going to drink your Flask, and then you will be good to go to open up on the boss, doing an exorbitant amount of damage right off the bat. And last but not least, we are going to go over the stats for this build. I'm currently level 162, but this is geared towards level 150 players, so you're going to have your Vigor at 50. I have mine at 60 right now for the extra levels. Your Mind is going to be 23, Endurance is 25, Strength is 51, Dexterity is 50, Intelligence is 9, Faith is 16, just so we can use Flame Grant Me Strength, and Arcane is 7. Now, what I would do instead of using this exact lineup of stats is get all the points out of Dexterity and then put them all into Strength, capping out at 80 Strength, because that's going to allow you to do way more damage than you currently see in the video. I had just started a New Game Plus and did not get a chance to go back through and respec my stats, so the Strength is at 51, which still does a ton of damage as you've seen, but you have the ability to do a lot more if your Strength is at 80. And guys, there you have it. That is going to be the Tarnished Cannoneer build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, things you would change, things that you absolutely love about the build, and I want to know what happens when you guys try it in your own playthrough. So I'm going to leave a bunch of videos on the screen right now. If you love more Strength builds, I'm going to put a ton of those up here, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, feel free to subscribe, hit the bell notification. It's free and it helps me out a ton, guys. So until next time, stay safe, enjoy the game. I'll see you in the next one.